Devotam framework, after actually going through the process rather than just writing about it, we wanted to translate requirements of quality management into practical implementation steps for government organization, and we wanted to build capacity at the local level to take up such initiatives. Now today we are fortunate over here that we have Dr. Bajaj, who was the project manager at Shimla. So I will just request her if she can tell you how we went about and what were the issues which really came out during this experimentation or a pilot project which we had in Shimla. Some of these issues, if you look at those issues, maybe it will help you in understanding in the correct perspective how you are going to, how your ICT initiatives are going to be actually useful in making cities smarter. That is what our objective is, na? Our objective is that how we can use ICT to make a city smarter. So what are those issues which came out in our Shimla experiment? Those are things. I'll tell you how we supported. We gave them financial support and we gave them consultancy support. Now the consultancy support, the type of consultancy support which we had given to them was not that armchair consultancy, that you sit and design their city plans. It's the easiest thing. Every city has got city plans. But the municipal commissioner would not know that the city plan exists. He has to search in Google and he can find that Shimla ka city plan is already there. But he will not know. So we wanted the consultants to actually sit down with them and work on a day-to-day basis and find out what are the problems which are coming over there, what are the issues which are coming over there, and how we can sort those issues out. And we also tried to bring about some best practices like the online grievance system which was already available in Guntur. Because we have that repository, we could try to translate it. But even the translation had certain issues. Okay, there was a good system working in another municipality. We wanted to replicate it. We got the software, we bought the software, everything. But still if it's not working, why it is not working? Okay, there are lessons learned from success stories, there are lessons learned from failures also. So I'll just request Dr. Bajaj to quickly, if you can just tell us what our experience was. I'll show how we went around with the methodology, etc. And I'll leave it to her to complete this presentation. Tell us, and then we can raise whatever questions are there. Then we can answer your questions. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manish Mohan. It's a unique opportunity that the client and consultant both are there together. So we can have half presentation divided between us. This slide is a typical representation of a project management methodology. You first have the initiation stage, then strategy planning, implementation and ownership, etc. Very quickly, in the initiation stage, the perspective was that the municipal corporation officials from the municipal commissioner, joint commissioner, assistant commissioner, down to all the HODs, they needed to understand that what the model is trying to do. At the end of it, as Mr. Manish Mohan mentioned, that the first part of the model is about citizen charter, which lays down service standards. So you need to lay down your services and you need to prescribe standards for them. So in the initiation stage was more about helping them to understand what should be a good citizen charter. It's not that they didn't have a citizen charter, they had a 3-page citizen charter that was already there on the website. But to find out from the charter for a citizen, what is it that the municipality is actually going to provide them was very difficult. So the initiation stage goes in explaining and coming on the same plane as what is it that we are trying to do, whether it is implementation of IT or whether it is training to employees. That is the first phase. In the second phase, we start planning as to how we're going to do it, whether we'll use technology first or we'll do capacity building first, what is it that we're going to do first and what comes later. The third stage is of actually implementing those plans and then gradually shifting the ownership from the consultant to the corporation, because the consultants are not going to be there all their lives. It's going to be a limited period. And gradually in the third phase, we start helping them to start taking ownership of that. And finally, external assessment stage is the stage when somebody, a third party, say for example a certification agency, could look at the model and certify that the corporation is actually fulfilling the requirements of that model. This is a very typical project management methodology which I'm sure many of you would be familiar with. In the initiation and the strategy planning stage, these are the kind of things that came up. If we look at these points, they don't seem to be very unusual. Like they're nothing specific to municipal corporation Shimla, or for that matter any other small town corporation. There were no laid down standards. So for water supply, Shimla is infamous for poor water supply. They get about half an hour water supply alternate days in the summer months. In winter months, it will be half an hour water supply every day. So no laid down standards, no monitoring whether that half an hour it is coming or it is not coming. All those kinds of things were already there. It is well known that Shimla has a water problem, but actually what is the extent of the problem is not very publicly known. Secondly, inadequate attention to management and planning, which is again a common thing across municipalities of small towns. Improperly maintained infrastructure. So if there are water pipes, there's a network of water pipes going through the hills, going through the roads, and at so many places you can see the water leaking. So on one side there is a huge shortage of water, and on the other side there is leakage, there is wastage. So how to bring that together in terms of management practices or planning, that was practically non-existent. Lack of accountability. So if there is no water for even half an hour on alternate days, who's responsible? Whether it is a municipal engineer, whether it is a junior engineer, who's going to take responsibility, who will be answerable, and who's going to take corrective action? More than accountability on who's responsible is who's responsible for setting it right. And lack of incentives to perform. This was repeated again and again and again. Why should we be going out of our way to do something? Will we get more salary, or what is it? If we work, even then it is the same thing. People who don't work, they get higher rewards, so on and so forth. This is extremely frequently cited. Now, in terms of how did we go about identifying the gaps? So these are some of the things that stand out at the end of about 12 months of work with them. In the water billing areas, when we started talking to the municipal engineer, what are the issues in water, water-related issues. So apart from the shortage of water, everybody says we can't do anything about it till sources of water are developed. But in billing, at least we can do. Water billing, they were not able to issue bills regularly. Sometimes the billing frequency is 3 months, sometimes it is 6 months. And most of the times, the perception was that water billing is a problem because we don't have enough meter readers. We have only 22 meter readers, and we have 11,000 water connections. And in a hilly terrain where the meter reader has to physically walk, he cannot even cycle, he has to walk and climb hills to read meters. So they don't go for meter reading. They are not able to cover that area, and therefore our water billing is a problem. So we need 10 more meter readers. For example, our problem will be solved if you can, if your project can help us to get 10 more meter readers, our problem will be solved. So when we went into the details of the data, we found that 26% of their bills were on metered consumption. More than 70% bills were coming on average. So anyway, whatever meter readers are there, even they are not going out and reading the meter. So it's still coming on average consumption. And when we said that, when we tried to get into the question as to why is there so much of average billing, because the moment you have a large percentage of average billing, there is a large percentage of complaints also. Those consumers will say that we've not used it and you're charging us for that. Now, when we actually got into the data as to why average billing is coming, then in the case, the first answer they gave us is just written meter not found. Now, it's not possible to validate whether he actually did not find the meter or he did not go, or whether the meter is actually hidden, either it is under the road or it is on top of a hill and it is not easily found. But that is the state of the actual data. Although the perception was meter readers की कमी है, meter reader हमारे पास 11 और आ जाए तो भी हो जाएगा. But if 61% of the meters cannot be found, what will additional meter readers do? That kind of question was not being answered. In terms of garbage collection, again the first thing that was being talked about is garbage collection. The problem is because we don't have vehicles. We don't have enough vehicles. We only have 11 vehicles or something like that. If we get 20 more vehicles, entire garbage collection problem of the municipality will be solved. When we started getting into the details, what we found was there was no calculation as to how many kilometers does a vehicle cover, how many vehicles are in working condition, how many vehicles, when does a vehicle will visit the workshop, how many hours of operations does the vehicle actually have, how many kilometers per liter of diesel does the vehicle actually consume. So all these questions, there is no objective data available on these kinds of things, and the perception that vehicles, for about 3 years the municipality has been putting up notes to the finance ministry in the state government to sanction more vehicles. So some 2 crores or 3 crores they had asked that please sanction us more vehicles, then the garbage collection situation can be moved. And every time finance was rejecting there that instead of getting more vehicles, you should be making it a bin-free city. So you don't need vehicles, rather you need some other system to do it. Now, when we actually went into the calculations, did an actual calculation, we found that there were only 4